2025 is my 5th straight year ranking my top 25 roller coasters. Since I began ranking my top 25 in 2021, I have more than doubled my credit count, visited some of the most celebrated amusement parks in the United States, and traveled across borders and oceans to further refine my Thuzy palette. As you would expect, this additional experience has had a large impact on my roller coaster rankings. Now we've reached December of 2025, and per the Thuzy tradition, it's time to celebrate one of the most important holidays of the year, Roller Coaster Ranking Day. And since this is my 5th anniversary of ranking coasters, I thought it'd be fun to go back in time and take a look at my first ever official top 10. How much has changed since 2021? What stupid decisions did I make that I regret stating with the benefit of hindsight? The good news is we can just find out. I've been putting out YouTube videos of my roller coaster rankings since this channel basically began. And so, if you want to know the answer, all you have to do is watch. One small problem with this idea though. While I did start ranking roller coasters in 2021, that was actually before I started this YouTube channel. Those were back in the days when I ran a Facebook group and being a Thuzy was an absolutely miserable experience. So my first video ranking is actually from only 4 years ago. Don't despair though, much has changed. Since the 2022 ranking, I've gotten over 100 new credits, and my top 10 has shifted dramatically. How dramatically, do you ask? How idiotic were some of my takes back then? Let's find out. I'm going to watch my original top 10 video with all of you and react to my rankings in real time. Sounds fun? I think I'm going to die of cringe. Here are my reactions to my first ever top 10 roller coaster video. Now yes, this exercise will involve watching one of my own videos. And some people do really struggle with hearing the sound of their own voice or watching their own material, but that doesn't bother me too much. What I imagine will bother me more is seeing how my video editing has changed over the years. Hint, my skills have improved quite a lot. I did some horribly cringy editing in the earliest videos that I made back in the day, and I have a feeling that there's going to be some cringy editing in this one. Oh god. Also, while the first video does date back to 2022, I still have my paper rankings from 2021, so at the end of this all, we'll break out the Excel sheet and do a quick little rundown. I assume those rankings will be even more embarrassing. Can't wait. Let's do it. Hit play.
Previously on Ranking Coasters with Thomas.
Oh my god, I forgot about this. Okay, so in 2022, I was originally planning to release one top 25 video that had every single coaster from my top to my 25th. But I was a much less skilled, less efficient editor back then, so when the videos started getting long, I would laugh at that characterization of long now. Anyways, I decided to split the video into 2 parts. Part 1 covered 11 to 25, and Part 2 covered the top 10 separately. It would take me a few years to realize that this strategy is absolutely murderous for a video's success in the YouTube algorithm, which is why I now have a video that is longer than the Iron Giant. Also, goddamn, I hate that stupid artificially lowered badass guy voice. I thought it was so funny back in the day, it's not.
Now it's time for the top 10. Well, not really. I debated putting everything in one video, but the length was starting to get a bit unruly, so
Unruly? The video was 16 minutes. Welcome back. This is my second of 2 videos going over my top 25 roller coasters. Specifically, this video covers my overall top 10. Without further ado, let's get things started with a living legend. Alright, for this video I used the ads from each coaster as bumpers, and that was kind of a brilliant idea. I'm too lazy to do it this year. Alright, off the bat, this is way too high. Sorry, Millie, you and I both know that's true. The OG Giga. For years, Millie was my #1 coaster by a wide margin, and a decade later, I'm happy to say that Millie still has the sauce. I think this is something that every YouTuber realizes at one point or another, but to sound like you're conversing normally when recording a voiceover, you have to be more dramatic than you think. You have to overact a little, else the voiceover sounds flat and disinterested. This isn't the worst, though. I feel like I've certainly developed in that regard.
Whoever called this ride Millennium Forceless is just straight up wrong. I mean, maybe you can come to that conclusion on a semi-empty train early in the morning, but why would you judge any roller coaster in the worst case conditions like that? Let Millie warm up and you will be rewarded.
Little baby me actually brings up a good point about Millie and how you need to let it warm up. It's a 6,000-ish foot long roller coaster without any trim brakes. Like, yeah, there's much different character from a standard cold ride to a fully warmed up night ride, where I still do think it can stake a legitimate claim in the domain of the elite. At least I did.
The first drop is still one of the best in the business, framed by the picturesque and interminable view of Lake Erie, and enhanced by the glorious, minimalistic Intamin T-bar. The resultant pull-out and overbank is strong, and you head into Millennium Island with a full head of steam.
Now you might be a bit curious how the new lift motor has changed this first section, and it makes everything a little bit better, but basically everything I said in the last video still holds. Like, the first drop and overbank sequence was still amazing, even with the slower lift, and now that first drop is just even better. It remains the easy highlight of the ride.
Other gigas are certainly more intense start to finish, more on that later, but even the somewhat weaker middle section offers amazing whip in the front or back, combined with great airtime heading in and out. Finishing things off with a sweet speed hill and a fantastic station flyby, Millie ends with a bang, and after 2 decades of operation, this ride's near mythological status is absolutely deserved.
Well, there's one point that I pretty aggressively glossed over in my initial evaluation. Elite rides on Millennium Force are pretty damn hard to come by. I think my visit to Cedar Point in 2022 was the last time I had a truly elite Millennium ride, and I've been chasing that dragon ever since. But despite my best efforts and continued stabs at back row night rides in the heat of summer over the past 4 years, I've not been able to recapture that magic ride. Which is a shame, because I do love Millie, but it's been slipping down my rankings slowly and steadily throughout the years. Not to spoil anything, but I can't say that trend is reversed in 2025. Still, I love Millie, and I always will. It was my first #1 coaster, and so it'll always have a special place in my heart. Number 9? Are you kidding me? Number 9? I don't think I could ever forgive myself for such a heinously low ranking, but I will say that I made this video before riding Magnum trimless, and that does affect things a little bit. I've been a lot luckier with trimless Magnum rides than I have been with that mythical Millie ride. I'm not even gonna bother with the actual video here. Watching it would make me sick, so let's just keep going. Ooh, okay. I guess I didn't find an ad for Lightning Rod.
I won't lie. I love RMCs, but I find them to be slightly overrated. They've never put out a bad product, but as their portfolio grows in size, the rides quickly start to blend together. Like B&M, RMC started its first decade as an innovator, but lately the company seems all too willing to rest on its laurels and churn out generic conversions.
Oh, hot damn. I still agree with this sentiment, by the way.
Which is why Lightning Rod was so fascinating to me. It's something totally different.
Remember when Lightning Rod still had a launch? Those were the days. Rip to my beautiful bastard.
It was a risk, and it failed spectacularly, so it's not that surprising that RMC pulled back on the reins a little bit. Nevertheless, I heard the legend. Some say this is one of the greatest coasters ever made. After 7 rides, I must respectfully disagree, but I can see the hints of greatness. Two things stop Lightning Rod from moving up any further. First is the length. It's just too damn short. You fly into the final brace with too much momentum, just wanting more. And that's not the main issue, though. I've seen older POVs. I know how fast this ride used to run.
Oh, 2022 me. If only you knew what was to pass in the very near future.
And I get why it doesn't run like that anymore, because the structure is literally tearing itself apart. But if Lightning Rod feels like this, neutered and eye-boxed out of its former glory, I cannot help but pine for the insanity of the original experience. That must have been so batshit crazy, it might have just taken my #1 spot. But for now, that will only be a dream.
Yeah, I still wish I could go back in time and experience Full Throttle Lightning Rod in 2016, but oh, how the mighty have fallen since my 2022 rides. If I felt gypped over the Lightning Rod experience after 2022, I cannot imagine how the first-time visitors of 2025 feel about the ride now. Now, 2022 was actually the last time that I've been to Dollywood, and so the last time that I rode Lightning Rod, obviously, which means that I've not been on it since that launch has been replaced by a chain lift. And a lot of people claim that the ride is just as good as before, and the chain lift is high speed, but I'm sorry, the launch was one of the main draws for Lightning Rod in the first place. It was a great launch, it was punchy, it was uphill, and most importantly, it differentiated Lightning Rod from all the other RMCs that have come before and since. Given my lack of experience with Chain Rod, I cannot say with authority that it's actually that much worse now, but if I had to make an educated guess, I think it would take a pretty big fall in my rankings. Which is a shame. Yeah, I guess this ranking makes sense. What, no ad for Toro either?
I'm lucky to have grown up with El Toro, and still have it at my home park, even if its operation grows more and more sporadic with each passing year. I've lapped the bowl triple-digit times, which of course colors my perception of the ride, but if anything, the familiarity of the experience has made Toro feel less special to me. It's almost easy to take for granted that I have 3 of the world's greatest airtime hills just a short drawn from my apartment. Even so, every time I sail over that downright violent first drop in the back car, I am instantly reminded that Toro is the best wooden coaster I've ridden by a wide margin.
I agree with that statement given the context of the time that I said it, but I don't agree with it now, and you guys can probably guess why.
Airtime is just so good. Even at sub-hypercoaster heights, Toro's first drop is better than any Giga's. You take it with speed coming off the zippy cable lip and get a nice dose of laterals before you sail into the lap bar the whole way down. Then there are the first 2 camelbacks, which are just the best. Sustained ejector, great whip, absolute chaos. El Toro does let off the gas here through the turnaround and the floaty hills that send you back towards the station, and you may get jackhammered a little bit here. But the Rolling Thunder Hill quickly redeems things. It's so strong it should be borderline illegal.
I have nothing to really add here, TBH. My perceptions of El Toro were pretty robustly defined over a decade ago at this point, because I've been pretty regularly riding it ever since it opened way back in 2006. So baby me and current me are pretty aligned. Now, a ranking of 6 does seem a little bit high to my current mind, but I do have like 100 more credits now than I did back then, so I guess in the relative it does make sense. Now this video is hype as hell. Lamau, 2022 was the last time I rode Velocicoaster, wasn't it? Wait. No, it was 2021. Oh, Jesus.
If Maverick is a consistent B+ coaster,
I wish to revise the grade I gave to Maverick and give it a consistent A- instead of a B+. Good job, buddy.
then Velocicoaster is a consistent A-. Outside of the Mosasaurus roll, but more on that later. Velocicoaster is the platonic ideal of the Blitz coaster. It takes every positive aspect of Maverick and cranks it up a notch. Better trains, better airtime, better launches, better layout, and of course, better theming.
I'm continuing to grow more and more on Maverick, so I don't really know if I would go this far anymore, but like, both of the big-time blitzes are really good. Velocicoaster definitely does have the edge in the restraint category, though.
Great whips and airtime pops are peppered throughout the layout, starting with the claustrophobic and breakneck dash through the Raptor paddock. It's full of awesome near misses and sweet visuals, especially up front, which is actually where I prefer to ride this.
Do I prefer riding it up front? I have no idea. I haven't ridden this thing for years. Yeah, I don't have much to add here either. I would have to, like, ride it again to really provide any alternative opinions. Whenever I get to Epic, I promise I will ride Velocicoaster again, okay? Okay. I probably deserves a near top 5 placement, but I wish I had more trust in 26-year-old me's opinions than I actually do. I mean, 26-year-old me was busy modding a Facebook roller coaster group. Wow, me, nice cheesy royalty-free epic choral music.
Number 5.
I figured that I would have known back in 2022 that basically the entire catalog of classical music is up for the taking, and I could just straight up use the symphonic epics that these crappy synths are ripping off of. Oh well.
Skyrush at Hershey Park.
Oh my god, why would I do that stupid cringy voice again? Why did I think that was cool? Anyways, top 5 for Skyrush with the old restraints is pretty damn funny.
The first of 2 batshit insane Intamins that should have never been built.
Here I am, unconsciously alluding to my future elegy series I would produce on Skyrush 3 years later.
Take up firm residence in my top 5. Skyrush is mental. From the moment you leave the station when the cable yanks you out with prodigious force, you know it's about to go down. The lift absolutely sends you over the first drop with insane, sustained ejector airtime. Don't get complacent though, as halfway down the drop the floor falls out from underneath you, and you get this glorious yank that should honestly be illegal. The pullout switches things up quickly, pummeling everyone with positives, and sending the train into one of the best airtime hills anywhere. And from there, the story is pretty easy to follow. Crazy airtime, occasionally great positives. It's really a bit of a shame because it's all over before you know it. Or maybe that's a mercy. Yes, we need to talk about the restraints.
Not anymore, we don't. And I still believe the new restraints are an upgrade, by the way, though I know there are contrarians that hate the idea of being comfortable on a roller coaster. Skyrush, like El Toro, is another coaster which has been seared into my mind after 15 years of consistent riding. And beyond the restraint update, my opinions of Skyrush have not shifted that much. If you watched my ranking last year, you saw that Skyrush only moved down 1 spot after the addition of over 100 new credits, so I'm still a fan of this absolutely mental Intamin hyper. If you want a really in-depth appraisal of my opinions on Skyrush, well, good news! There's a 30-minute long video you can watch all about the ride. After we finish here, of course. Speaking of finishing this video, I would contend that your video watching experience is truly not complete until you've given the video a like, commented a long screed about how foolish my rankings are in the comments section, subscribe to the channel, and hype the video as well. I mean, watching the video and not doing that is like going on mission space and not pressing all the fun buttons that make weird noises before the launch. Who doesn't like pressing the fun buttons? Anyways, where are we?
Number 4.
Well, we're just gonna have to deal with the cringy voice moving forward. I am so sorry.
The tallest, fastest giga coaster in the world. Experience the most terrifying ride on Earth.
This hurts me to say. I don't want to give it to B&M. It seems impossible that a company known for playing it safe, the boring and mild manufacturer, can make something this good.
Lamau, I still don't want to give it to B&M. I will say though, after visiting Canada's Wonderland this year, my opinion of B&M has risen a decent amount.
Despite making up the most credits out of any manufacturer on my credits list, Fury is the only B&M which can even sniff the top 10, and it's in the top 5. So you know it must be something special. Fury doesn't feel like a B&M, which is the highest praise I can possibly give it.
Okay, I wouldn't say that now. Fury does still feel like a B&M, but a B&M that's been injected with the super soldier serum or like anabolic steroids. Fury is your somewhat mild-mannered friend who does coke at a party and suddenly gets a lot more excited. He's still the same guy, even though he's absolutely sending it in the karaoke bar. He's still doing In the End by Linkin Park like he always does, just with a lot more energy.
It is more forceful than Orion everywhere, and that is immediately evident from the first drop, which feels positively endless and teeters on the edge of ejector in the back. Fury then pummels everyone with positives as you whip through Yes, an actually forceful overbank, and proceed to absolutely fly through an incredible low-to-the-ground twister section. Only Millie can come close to matching Fury's sensation of speed, but somehow the B&M brings more force. I can't believe it.
I'm not ridden Fury in a while personally, but what I did do is ride Leviathan this summer, and that gave me a greater appreciation for B&M's second attempt at the Giga model. Mostly because Leviathan is really damn good, and Fury is just Leviathan but better. Like, before these summer's escapades north of the border, I was always comparing Fury to Orion, which I have ridden pretty consistently like every summer since this list. And Orion just still hasn't really gained my full respect after those multiple years of consistent rerides, so I don't think it's ever going to. It's good to know, though, that Orion was just an aberration and my opinions on Fury weren't wildly overinflated. I still really want to go back to Carowinds and give Fury some more laps.
I'm happy to say, though, my expectations were not just exceeded, but absolutely blown away. Now, why the hell isn't every B&M this good?
Now, what did Hydra do to deserve that?
It is time to enter the 4th dimension.
Oh my fucking god.
X has landed. Explore a new dimension.
This ad is sick, though, I'll give it
all
that.
expectations. X, experience the extreme. Only at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now, the extreme park.
Yep, fair.
When I was a kid playing Roller Coaster Tycoon on Windows 98 in my parents' bedroom, one ride captivated my attention above all the others. I would open up the Magic Mountain scenario, and there it was. X. This weird-ass neon coaster that looked like something out of an alien spaceship. I was obsessed. I had to ride it, but it would take me 20 years to finally make the 3,000-mile trek, standing on line in the baking California heat for 2 hours in an attempt to finally meet my childhood hero. Was it worth it? Yeah. Honestly, the experience was so disorienting that I had to go back this year, just to ride it again and process the experience. It's an utterly unhinged concept, and the fact that it debuted 20 years ago on a friggin' hyper makes it even more crazy.
I stand by this sentiment, by the way. You do need multiple visits, or at least multiple rides over multiple days, to fully process the sensory overload that is X2. Just make sure to cherish that first ride, because it will never feel that crazy again.
Now I've been on enough times to fully process the experience, so here are my thoughts. First, ride it in the back. Trust me.
Absolutely ride it in the back.
Don't pussy out like I did the first time. I felt a legitimate pit of fear in my stomach as I left the station facing upwards and made the long ascent to the top in row 7. But the mild terror paid dividends as I was flung over the pre-drop and turned down to face my imminent descent.
X2 remains one of only 2 roller coasters that I have ridden on a consistent basis that still gives me that pit in my stomach going up the lift hill, and I'm really happy it still gives me that.
Ever experience airtime while facing downwards? It's a near incomprehensible sensation. From that moment on, almost every aspect of X2 feels just wrong, in the best possible way.
This is a pretty apt description of why I love X2, TBH, and a nice encapsulation of why I love it so much.
The last second flip at the bottom of the first drop feels unnatural, careening you into a pretzel loop style chest crusher of positive G's. I do have to knock off points for the ride's brevity, woeful capacity, and the absolutely horrendous transition after the second Raven turn. They give you a damn concussion if you're not prepared. Seriously, the bouncing I can handle, but retracking that short little section would make the ride so much better.
It's been 4 years since this video, and I still don't understand why they haven't retracked like 5 feet of track after the Raven turn. Like, Jesus, it can't cost that much.
These small dings aside, though, I'm glad that X2 lived up to the hype. It remains the king of Magic Mountain 20 years later. Unique and utterly demented, I'm on my knees begging SNS for another 4th dimension installation on the East Coast. Please?
So, 2 major things happened since I first rode X2 and did this ranking video. Well, 3 things have happened, but we don't need to talk about the third thing. Firstly, they recontoured the head pads, which has made the ride a bit more comfortable. However, at the same time, I feel like the ride's gotten noticeably rougher. Or maybe I'm just getting older and this is what happens when you enter your 30s, but I don't feel that way about Magnum or X2's next door neighbor, so okay. I still absolutely adore X2 even if it does beat you up, and I really want to get back to Magic Mountains so I can ride it and Zaddy Viper again. I miss you guys, come back to me! God, that call out was so hype.
Actually, that's B&M Box Track, and Intimidator 305, which is now known as Pantherian, was built by Intamin, so it uses a different track style. Boy, I hope somebody was fired for that blunder.
Intimidator 305, new at King's Dominion. Inspired by Dale Earnhardt, it's the biggest, baddest, meanest coaster on the East Coast. A fitting tribute to the world's greatest driver. Intimidator 305, new this summer at King's Dominion. The legend rides on.
I cannot believe that a park agreed to build this coaster.
I still can't believe it years later, and I'm so glad they did.
Sure, the general public is afraid of roller coasters, but Intimidator 305 is so intense that King's Dominion's marquee attraction is a ghost town on all but the busiest of days. Financially and reputation-wise, I-305 was a mistake, and it was the best fucking mistake Intamin and Cedar Fair ever made.
Hey, that's the thesis statement of my 35-minute long video about Intimidator 305. If you're curious, I still have the same opinion.
Now, this may sound kinda crazy, probably because it is, but I-305's best experience on the ragged edge of consciousness, succumbing to heat exhaustion and struggling to maintain vision through the godly, punishing first helix. Now, you can get through the helix if you hold your breath and tighten your abdomen up like a fighter pilot, but I'm not even joking. Let yourself go and let the bone-crushing force suck the life out of you.
This is true, but hydration is important, kids, so don't forget to drink your water. And if you decide to go full blackout mode on I-305, make sure to get a room at one of the nearby hotels, and do not try to drive 4 hours home. Ask me how I know.
Through all the insane whips and prodigious positive G's, people tend to lose sight of another huge aspect of the ride. I-305 is great airtime. Sure, it's neutered a bit by the shoulder strap restraints, but I understand why a ride this diabolical needs to run shoulder support. The first drop is almost as good as Millie's, though, and every airtime hill afterwards hits. In fact, the airtime hill after the helix may be one of the best ejector hills on any coaster. That is, if you're awake enough to experience it.
Yes, I still stand by the ride having amazing airtime. Also, rip Anaconda? No.
We'll probably never see a coaster like I-305 again, and for good reason. The GP is right to be afraid of this monster. But I will be forever thankful that Intamin and King's Dominion came together to make this glorious mistake.
Okay, so last year X2 was my number 2 and I-305 was my number 1, and they've been trading off the number 1 spot for the past 3 years, so... In my first ever ranking video, what did I have at number 1?
Number 1.
Oh no, the crappy royalty-free epic music is back. Oh no. Really?
Vengeance at Cedar Point.
Yep. So many hot takes, and yet my number 1 is a cliche.
Is it even cliche to have Steel Vengeance as your number 1 coaster anymore? I feel like the Thuzy hive mind has shifted significantly since I first wrote the script for that video. I mean, obviously it's still a great ride, but not a lot of people put it as their number 1 anymore. Like me.
It just goes to show, after countless rides and so many other coasters and many contrarian takes, it's still hard to deny that Steel Vengeance may just be the greatest coaster in the world.
Hoo boy, Doubting Thomas, just wait till you start denying it.
It's got it all. Height, speed, intensity, smoothness, length, and of course, airtime. So much airtime. CP and RMC were really swinging for the fences when they piled another 50 feet on top of the already gargantuan Main Street. But it's safe to say the gamble paid off. That first drop is wild. Even in the first 2 rows, you get sustained ejector the whole way down. The drop is incredible, but the next 2 hills, the legendary overbanks, are so amazing that people just tend to forget how good the first drop is. I prefer the first overbank. Both offer strong and sustained, delightful ejector, but the first awkwardly kinks halfway through and gives a nice surprise of laterals.
Honestly though, yeah, that first drop and those 2 camelbacks are the tits.
From there, you fly through the first half. Steve never relents from its breakneck pacing up to and through the mid-course brake run, which if you're lucky enough, will barely tap the train.
Actually, I have a hot take about the mid-course now. I actually prefer Steve when the mid-course hits. If that does sound a little crazy to you, you're just gonna have to wait till my updated ranking video drops for 2025 to hear my full explanation. I swear it makes sense.
Even if the brakes do hit though, the drop off the mid-course will send you flying, and the train will sail over the awesome twisted drop that dives into the structure and kicks off the 3rd lap in earnest. I can't give Steve a 10 though, and that's because of what happens next. Once you pass that glorious drop into the wood superstructure, Steve gets a little too busy for its own good. The assault of airtime hills and unbelievably tight transitions never lets up from here, and it starts to wear. You can hear the screams of joy slowly morph into screams of pain every ride. Unlike Magnum's triangle hills, there's no break in between elements, no quick second to resettle yourself before the G-forces throw you in a completely different direction. It's a symptom of a problem I have with practically every RMC. Alan just doesn't know when to stop sometimes.
You gotta give me some credit, at least I stayed consistent on this one.
Luckily for Steve though, the first 70% of this ride is perfect. Full stop. Cedar Point and Alan Schilke have made something truly special on the shore of Sandusky, Ohio. And while I feel like there are probably better rides out there, Steve takes a very deserved top spot. For now.
Alright, listen, Steve is not my number 1, and it has not been a number 1 for a few years at this point, but I still agree with most of what I stated back in 2021 with this original ranking video. It's still an incredible coaster, and one that I make a point to ride every time I visit Cedar Point, so I can't truly trash this ranking. I just think other coasters are better than it. And yeah, that's my top 10 all the way back from 2022. And overall, I don't find my opinions totally egregious. Like, I highly overrated Millie, and I didn't give my beloved Magnum enough credit, but I'll give you a hint. The channel wasn't even named after Magnum in 2022, so I obviously had not seen the light quite yet. No, far more cringy than my rankings themselves was my editing. Jesus. The voice and those royalty-free epic music backgrounds are going to haunt me for a while. And do not despair, though. If you want to cringe a little more at my rankings, let's travel back in time a little bit further, shall we? Let's look at the original iteration of the Thuzy list, all the way back from 2021, when I could proudly boast that I had all of 120 credits. Wow! At number 10, we have Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. That's a bit much. And at number 9, we have Twisted Colossus at Magic Mountain. I sense a theme here. Could you tell that 2021 was the first year that I rode RMCs? Timbers and Colossus had never sniffed the top 10 again, but they are both very good coasters. Magnum again comes in at an insultingly low number 8. El Toro backs up my theories of set opinions for home park coasters at number 7, and Velocicoaster came in number 6 as a new credit. Oh my god, 2021 was the last time I rode Velocicoaster? I feel like some of you are gonna crucify me for that. Skyrush is back again at number 5, another validation for the home park effect. My disorienting single ride on X2 that I described in the video was enough for it to land the number 4 spot. And number 3, we have Millie. Oh my god, really? Alright, listen, for some context, I went to Cedar Point in 2013 with my family as my high school graduation trip, and I absolutely adored Millennium Force, so it occupied a vaunted position in my brain for years of Thuzy hibernation, until I was finally able to ride it again, like 8 years later. And I guess I got a bit caught up in the myth of Millie and lost sight of the actual ride experience. I want to pull back, though, and I do want to re-emphasize, I love Millennium Force. It's just not worthy of a number 3 spot. I'm sorry. And finally, at number 2, we have Intimidator 305, like before, and at number 1, we have Steel Vengeance. Makes sense to me. Out of curiosity, I also thought it'd be fun to check out my bottom 3 from 2021, and outside of my perpetual worst coaster choice in King's Dominion's Ballbuster Shockwave, I put Wildcat at Hershey Park and the Runaway Mine Train at Great Adventure. How dare I treat the Runaway Mine Train with such disrespect? It has the best airtime hill in the park. Here I am at Six Flags Great Adventure staring at the best airtime hill in the park. Right there. Those of you probably know that I'm not joking, right? Wildcat has the dubious distinction of being the second worst coaster on the list, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I've been on it many times, and the home park effect is strong here again. I just had to point out the last sentence that I wrote in my notes for Wildcat. Would make a great RMC hybrid. Wow. I'm basically Nostradamus. And that's all, folks. There are my coaster rankings from yesteryear. It's hard to believe that it's been 4 years since I first made one of these ranking videos, and I guess I'm coming up on the 5th anniversary of the channel. Wow. My top 10 has changed quite a bit in the ensuing half-decade, so if you are curious what is in my top 10 in the present day, you're in luck, because I do plan to compare my current top 10 to my original top 10 in my upcoming 2025 ranking video. With data. That's exciting, right? Stay tuned for that. I hope to have it out before Christmas, but I cannot guarantee it because of the issues I've been having with my editing rig. Like, I'm currently recording this video on my laptop. Regardless, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and see you on the other side.
If you made it all the way here, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this in-depth look into my top 25. If you think it would be interesting, I'm debating doing a similar breakdown for my 10 least favorite roller coasters, so let me know if you're down for that in the comments. Thank you so much, have a very Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays.